Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, December 29th, and with my new plan, we're starting on the European account. So, we've hit Friday, no more stalling. I need to now play 50 road class cards and win a Paladin and Priest game. Reason, of course, I'm starting with the European account instead of the regular account is because I want to leave that open to more cheating, if at all possible. Like, since I can play my secondary account and get things done quicker, which then gives me more free time, which is certainly necessary right now, as we are working through the end of the year slumps. There's a little bit more to talk about today than there have been in the past two streams, but it's still hardly the biggest event ever. Let's see. On this custom, can we switch this to standard? Well, we'd only have to replace like one card. And I think that would be pretty easy to replace. There we go. 30 standard rogue cards. Ready to play. Might as well be on ranked play since you're there already. We're not getting anywhere as far as ranked play. I don't think I'll probably ever get anywhere as far as ranked play. It seems like it just takes too much time, too much effort, and I'm not willing to commit to it. And honestly, it kind of takes too much money, like buying cards.
I always do.
So I want to try to get the lowest tier, cheapest cards. Best case scenario, I do 25 plus in one game, 25 plus in another, and we're done in 2 games. Otherwise, we'll have to go a third game. It was kind of weird looking at the Twitter today. There was about 8 articles that were new, and then it was back to, I would say, let's see, to be fair, how many was it? It was like 8 articles in about 12 hours of nothing. Then I back to the articles I'd already seen. I'm trying to look at Famitsu right now. But try to see if I can find Famitsu and follow it. No, it's all in Japanese on Twitter, so that is the reason why I don't follow it. It's a Japanese only account. Let's play this. Alright, well, there goes my hope for maybe finding a thing. So, first article from PC Gamer: gaming disorder proposed as an addiction by the World Health Organization. Now, I don't know for sure, but I suspect that the World Health Organization does not control the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual. I think is what that stands for. It's called the DSM, and they're up to order number 5, volume number 5, which is the general thing used, at least in the United States, to classify disorders of any kind, mental and physical, I believe. And so I don't know what their the World Health Organization, it has a beta draft of the International Classification of Diseases, which that inherently breaks the idea here. An addiction is not a disease. Diseases have to be communicable. If it's something that's not communicable in the sense that it can't be transferred from one person to the other, then it is a disorder. But maybe they're just using simplified language there. There's several scientific arguments against trying to label video game as an addiction. First of all, the main thing is, for an addiction to actually be an addiction, it has to add something chemically to your body or brain that you're not getting naturally or can't get naturally, and that you become dependent on. You can be addicted to alcohol to the point where you have to be given alcohol to even survive surgeries. So there are instances where people will go under the knife for some surgery and be prescribed alcohol because they're addicted to the alcohol. You can obviously be addicted to cocaine and PCP and all of those drugs. Arguably, I don't think you actually can be addicted to marijuana, because it just doesn't follow within that thing. At least that's what I've heard. Particularly though, playing a video game and having an enjoyable experience, at best you could argue, is causing your brain to create the chemicals in your brain that make you happy. And there's really nothing wrong with that. What the DSM has always done with this is there is obsessive personality disorders. There's obsession. Like, there are people that are obsessed with touching doorknobs 25 times before they leave a room. There are people that are obsessed with flossing their teeth. And there are people that are obsessed with playing video games to the point where it, and the definition of obsession is like it's getting in the way of your normal life. It is negatively affecting your life and you're unable to control it. That's when it becomes a problem. So, yes, you can easily already label somebody with an obsessive personality disorder and it manifesting through their obsession of playing video games. And the reason particularly why that is the case is because people with obsessive personality disorder often switch from one thing to the other. So they may be obsessed with playing video games today. You take away their video games from them and then they just go and are obsessed with touching doorknobs, reading books. It doesn't get to the core issue and it doesn't really help anything. So it seems like a unscientific bad thought for the World Health Organization to even try to include this. And it just seems like old people thinking and obsessing. And of course this could be PC Gamer just mislabeling things. Let me scroll down this the beta draft of their article may not even include the word video gaming. Like here, even in the article, it's saying the same thing that I've known for quite a long time now. It says the focus shouldn't be on gaming, but the individual's tendency to overindulge in any given activity, suggesting that excessive gaming could be a coping mechanism rather than a problem themselves. Often in video games, particularly, that is the truth. Like, very few people play video games and hate that they're playing video games. Lots and lots of alcoholics drink alcohol and hate that they're drinking alcohol. And there's a difference to recognize in that. Alright, people have been talking on the chat. I've been seeing it. Let's see. A new guy, I believe, to the chat says, "Hey man, I'm watching another stream right now." And then Travis comes on and says, "Hey Rydo, how are you?" "I'm doing good." Almost to the end of the main story of the Evil Within. So, barring any major problems of scheduling, it should start airing sometime in January. Maybe even if I'm really, really lucky, I can start it airing January 1st. There was something I wanted to ask Travis, because Travis gave me The Evil Within. I wanted to experiment with donating a game, since I've never given a game myself, and I do have one in my inventory that I got 2 copies of, called See No Evil. So I was gonna ask Travis and give him first pick, since he already gave me a gift. It would only be fair, I think. So if you look up the game See No Evil, it's just spelled SEE space NO space evil. If that interests you, let me know and I'll send it to you as a gift, and that way I can see how that system works. I don't have a lot of games, particularly in the Steam inventory. I do have some Steam codes that I'm not 100% sure would actually work. They're so old. And I am still certainly trying to figure out whether how is the fairest way to give away games, even at the small scale of because with my around 215 subscribers, not everybody is going to get a game, clearly, and then that's going to leave a lot of people unhappy about that. So that's why I've been very hesitant to try to give away games so far. The bottom of this article says that the Internet Gaming Disorder was also proposed for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. Oh, it is only mental disorders, known shortly as the DSM-5 in 2013, but it was ultimately slated for further study because of a lack of evidence supporting its inclusion. And that's really what it comes down to, is there's no actual scientific evidence that makes any sense. It's like purely a political desire to label video games as the problem, in the same way that it used to be comic books used to be blamed for problems in kids, and movies used to be blamed, and now that video games is the big man on top, they're trying to blame video games. Let's see. Travis says, "I just got off work, so I can't log in, but I can't stay long, but have a good New Year's." Okay. Okay, Travis. So, yeah. That is probably one of the rants, people trying to label video games playing as a problem, that I've not gone into too much this year. But I have certainly gone into a lot over the life of me playing video games. People were calling me obsessive about playing video games pretty much my entire childhood, and arguably, in my case, it may have been true to a certain extent. Because there certainly was a much higher desire in me to play more video games than most kids, and there was no desire for me to, say, go outside and play with other kids or socialize with people. So, yeah, video games have always been a high thing, and I generally feel that people or kids who are, how do I put this? People probably shouldn't have played as much video games as I played as a kid, but then I made a career out of it, so, or I'm trying to make a career out of it. Travis says maybe we can play a game of Hearthstone later if you're still on. All right, just let me know when you're ready, and if I'm still on. See, play this, and then play this, and this, and I probably shouldn't play the coin in this just for that reason, but I can play this, and then play it again. So yeah, and that's probably about one of the biggest news things. I'm getting into some of the ThinkGeek gadgets. I guess they have a couple things that interest me. They have this USB 3.0 hub that has a couple switches and a turn key and a couple of buttons that look like you're sending off the nuclear rockets, and it plays sound effects, and it's real compact and looks cool, like as a desktop gadget. Unfortunately, it's like $60, and that is way too expensive. Way too expensive. If it was $25, I would think it was still a little high, but maybe doable at that point. But like at this price, unacceptably high. Let's see. It's in the turn. And let's see. PC Gamer has the best visual novels on PC. This is part of a rant that I'm going to get to later, so I'm going to leave that alone. And so that's not anything. Let's see. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hackers Memories launches a retweet campaign to add 4 new Digimon via free update, which I hope that it succeeds, but also I'm not sure this. Yeah, it's not even out in America or Europe until January 19th. So it's effectively saying this campaign is only for people in Japan. Which is a pretty typical way of a Japanese company doing things. Like, let's see.
Here we go.
Might as well kill this because he'll just use his hero ability. So if this tweet gets 2018 tweets by January 5th, so it's not even, yeah, it's totally only for it. Let me look at this tweet and see how many retweets it's gotten. 4,550 retweets. And it wanted 2018. So theoretically, there's going to be 4 new Digimon added to the game that's not even available in the West. Just by the fan base in Japan loving it, which is fine, I suppose. There's a game called Maitetsu, Maitetsu. I probably mispronounced that. Pure Station has been announced for PS4. What kind of game is this? Coming in January in Japan. Let's see. Let's see. It says it's unknown if Pure Station is an all-new game or the same version announced previously. Let's see. Maitetsu is a visual novel that first launched in PC. And there's plans to release it in English in 2018. So very little in this article. Let's click on this other link to see if I can get more information. It seems like it's some kind of visual novel where you ride a train or you're running a train, or the train routes are anthropomorphized into anime girls. I can't really tell what's going on in this game. I really do have to struggle sometimes to figure out what these things are even trying to do. In the end, it's a visual novel, and then part of my rant about visual novels that I'm going to get to is going to mention how there's just this inherent problem with visual novels not being good games from the word go, since the idea is to cram as much text as possible, turning a book into something that is sort of like a video game but isn't interactive enough to satisfy most game players. I'll trade that one too. And so I'm watching this trailer, and these trailers never tell you anything either. So that was useless. Moving on to the next thing. Diablo 3's Darkening of Tristram anniversary event is coming back for 2018. Throughout January, players will be able to return to the original Diablo dungeon. It kind of sucks that that's not just a permanent thing, and that Diablo 3 is really just not what I would prefer. It's more of this online game that has events. There is a single player component that's always available, but once that's done, there's also a lot of hooks and things, kind of like expansions, although in this case the expansion is not even in any way special. Let's see. Let's do this. And then return this. And then do this. There really isn't a ton you can even say about it when something that has already happened is being done again. According to YouTube ads, 86% of millennial dads turn to YouTube for guidance on key parenting topics. Source: marketing to millennial parents. Here's how they're redefining parenting by their generation, March 2017. I'm not sure I really believe that, and I'm not sure what that really says. I guess maybe millennial fathers are a target demographic that advertisers might try to reach, and very possibly a lot of millennial fathers would enjoy a lot of the content on YouTube. Maybe, maybe not. However, if you take it to the extreme thought that that YouTube advertising seems to imply and want to turn all of YouTube into just a parenting guide channel, which would be a really extreme interpretation of what they're saying. That would be a very strange thing to do, and YouTube as a site would not succeed alone on that. But then I suppose YouTube advertising always says something slightly weird and different than what YouTube tells its creators. Certainly it would be insane for me to try to change my channel to accommodate or attract millennial fathers. In fact, it'd be kind of crazy for me to try and change my channel to accommodate or interact with any specific demographic. It would be selling out for a really crazy reason. CCP, creators of EVE Online, is hiring for a new and highly ambitious MMORPG. They posted lists for designers, artists, engineers, and more. How is this not just more EVE Online? That's my question there. Is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do or how you fix the question. Is EVE Online finished as a game? I doubt it. Is its player base just a little too toxic and a little too experienced now where new players can't enter EVE Online? Probably. Is EVE Online too complicated and too much of a spreadsheet game? Definitely. So maybe that's what they're going to do, is they're going to try and create something with the slight style of EVE Online, but more simplified, easier to get into, something that would appeal to a wider base of players. I guess maybe that would make sense. More information needed is pretty much all I can say with that articles. I want to see what this new game is. Let's see. These are well, scraping the bottom of the barrel news, definitely. So, Galgun 2 Japanese first print bonus costume announced, limited edition box art. It is a torn school swimsuit, and boy, is that torn. Like, I don't think that's gonna make it to the Western version. Like, so the school swimsuits in Japan are one-piece swimsuits. However, this one is so torn that it is exposing her upper buttock, her stomach, and all but the nipple of one of her breasts, while also wearing stockings that have been torn. And I'm not sure if that's only for that one character or if that's just a costume that would be used with multiple characters throughout the game. I think it would be used by multiple characters throughout the game, honestly. I can't do anything, so I'm going to end the turn. Yeah, that falls right under the category of don't ever change Japan. Honestly, if Japan got away from its lewdness and its craziness, the two main factors that cause Japanese games to be interesting, it would be so boring. I doubt anybody would want to play very many Japanese games at all. If we're just playing feudal era, like samurai games, things like Neo. While Neo was a fine game, from what I hear, like, I don't think you could have 5 or 6 games like Neo come out. And the weirdness also kind of falls under the category of their horror stories. So, like, Yeah, if they stopped making Japanese horror stories, if they stopped making visual novels, if they stopped making bullet hell shooters, uh, if they stopped making lewd games in general, the video game industry would be a lot more boring. Even if most of those games are bad. Moving on, there's a... I don't even know if this is a game. Let's see. Yeah, this isn't even a game. This is just a... This is just an anime being announced. Let's see. Apparently, it's an anime based on a game. It's called You Know a Girl Who Chants Love at the Bounds of the World, which that's pretty long. You know YU-NO. Now it's getting an anime. Typically, it goes the other way around. In 2018, typically the anime gets made first, and then the video game tie-in happens. To go the other direction is rather strange. Unfortunately, this trailer is literally just a character zooming in, being panned in digitally, like a single image just zooming in closer and closer to the screen. Like, the original title was released on the Sega Saturn in 1996, so this might be a nostalgia play for people who remember this game, but I've never heard of it. Let's keep playing. There's a lot of Gematsu articles. I imagine a lot of that is simply because the Japanese people don't take as much time off for Christmas as the rest of the world. That is pure speculation on my part, but I wouldn't be surprised. So the Caligula effect, we've talked about that multiple times, more times than it deserves. Has some more details on dual route systems and characters. So it really is this weird journey, particularly reading Gamatsu articles, because you just get, here's a tiny bit of information about the game, and then a week later, here's a tiny little bit more of information about the game, and then a week later, here's a tiny bit more, and it really just keeps going and going until the game decides that it's out. So yeah, I'm seeing some pictures, and it looks like it's a 3D battle system. It doesn't particularly look like there might be teams going on, but maybe there are. And then there's some conversation. So it almost feels like it's a Persona style game. I don't know if Persona really deserves to be the title that owns that style of gameplay, when it's really just a 3D action RPG that looks like it's turn-based. But at a certain point, saying all of that is probably also a waste of time. What secret does he have? It must be Snake Trap, where you play 3 minions and then it releases 3 snakes. Caligula effect in particular still has a very interesting gray, black, white, and red artistic style. Like, everybody is dressed in this same style for the most part. But I still don't have a full grasp of that game, and probably never will. There's a mod for CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, called Go for the Kill, that adds Battle Royale combat style to the gameplay. Let's see. So yet another game is adding Battle Royale style gameplay, and I wouldn't be surprised if like CSGO and Team Fortress just by default have modes like that added. I think we're going to start seeing Battle Royale modes added to every game, whether you want it or not, to the point where it probably will just be some kind of option in multiplayer things where you can just have a 4v versus 4 multiplayer, but if more people join, it becomes 6 versus 6, and if more people join, it becomes 8 versus 8, and if you somehow get 100 people to join, then it's 100 versus, well, actually, it couldn't be any team-based, could it? It would have to be all for 100. But you're going to inherently have to start programming it so the game just starts at a certain point regardless of how many people are actually in the lobby. Excuse me. I think I've gotten a small cold and been just kind of living with it for the past week or two. The idea is so simplistic that you could have as many as 100 people on your server, and since netcode is hopefully getting better over the years, it's probably not too difficult to add something like that, although it's yet to been really proven to work on a global scale. I imagine we will start seeing tons of copycats of Battle Royale, and it will probably take Snake Trap was the secret, but then apparently how you activate Snake Trap is different than what I thought. Yeah, I think it'll take a couple years before Battle Royale style options become a negative in games. That they'll probably rather quickly become like unimportant things and just like assumed in any multiplayer. Even going back to earlier parts of this year, if For Honor had a 100 all for one mode, it wouldn't have been surprising. It might have helped the game even a little. I'm sure there's Splatoon. If Splatoon had a 100 all for one mode, it would have been great, like, and not that surprising. Next article we have leaked listing says Destiny's 2 next expansion is called Gods of Mars. It's been updated. What's the update? Well, updates are supposed to be at the top of the articles when there's an update. Update in the middle of the article. Activision hasn't yet responded to my inquiry, which is to say almost nothing. That is hardly an update. The rest of it, the sentence there was, but PlayStation Universe and Japanese speaking Twitter user who contacted me directly both say the listing is likely fake. The Japanese translator appears to be a Google Translate style job, which is to say sloppy and imprecise, and the formatting is wrong for the Japanese PSN, and the privacy policy used in the post is for North America, not Japan. The Reddit post that started the ball rolling since has been deleted. Okay, so this rumor is probably not even true. Okay. Like, who cares, in my opinion? Like, I don't think that many people are even into Destiny 2, so whether or not its next expansion is called Gods of Mars or not, I think you probably not call it Gods of Mars, because I think they'd probably not want to use the word gods, and there's like some kind of comic book or something called something like that. Let's see, will this poison effect kill both of them? Yes, it will.
Here we go.
Apparently, Destiny has the same glimmer farming cap as the first game. The cap limits how much glimmer you can earn in combat, but it's not actually new. So... Let's see. President of the cap was confirmed, who performed 3 not exactly scientific tests. And he found that once he pulled in chunks of around 400 glimmer, it stopped coming until he stopped killing. After taking a short break and then returning to his letter, the cap was actually lower than it had been previously. Returning to fight following a 20-second break, a chunk of 200 glimmer was enough to trigger the limit. So we've got 1 daily quest done. Let's see. We need now to play 50 priest cards and win with the priest. So we've got to really try and win here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this priest deck and make a new priest deck. We got to try to win while also playing on the priest cards. That's going to be an interesting move. With the priest cards, however, at least I know that this card will help me draw more cards, which will help me improve my chances of actually seeing all 30 cards in a gameplay. There we go, custom priest. One of these days I might actually turn around and make some actual decks that try to win. Let's see, the next part of this article. One particular instance, after stopping gaining glimmer, I must have killed at least 60 enemies who didn't drop any glimmer. I was at 6,000 glimmer, gained about 280 before glimmer stopped, and then proceeded to kill enemies for several minutes after that. When I finally stopped and checked my inventory, I was at 6,280 glimmer. So, apparently, when you hit that cap, you should stop playing the game for more than 20 seconds, maybe at an hour, maybe 30 minutes if I was just to pick random numbers. And that's not a good way to motivate people to play your MMO. But also, I guess they don't want the people that have way more time than most to be able to just grind for 24 hours straight and hit the top level. Well, honestly, I guess it doesn't matter. Like, don't slow down the player during the middle of progress. Slow them down at the end. Just have a maximum amount of glimmer that anybody can have per expansion. And if somebody on the first day of the next expansion wants to earn the new cap's amount, that's fine. Like in a Hearthstone equivalent, if somebody on the first day of an expansion wants to buy all the cards with dust, or buy thousands of card packs and get everything in gold, there's really nothing stopping anybody from doing that other than their own amount of money they have. It would be crazy for Hearthstone to say, no, you can only open 50 packs a day, and then you'll have to come back tomorrow and open 50 more packs. Or if you open more than 50 packs on one day, you're not going to get any of the good cards. That doesn't serve anything. Doesn't sound like a fun thing to do. Let's do this. There you go. Insomniac Games is hiring an engineer programmer for Burbank, California. They're looking for a mid to senior level engine programmer for their core team. Let's see. What I want to know before I start looking at this, though, is let's refresh my mind on who Insomniac Games is. I'm thinking Uncharted. Let's see. No. So their games are the Marvel Spider-Man coming to 2018 for the PlayStation 4, Ratchet and Clank, The Unspoken, Edge of Nowhere, Song of the Deep, Feral Rights. Yeah, the thing here, Sunset Overdrive is a legacy game. Resistance. These pictures are loading rather slowly. Spyro the Dragon. Yeah. If I'm recalling correctly, Insomniac Games has been in kind of a problematic history. They're listing a bunch of games here that are just logos that are there. It looks like they're intentionally hiding the logos so you can't even see them. Let's see. Audernauts, Fruit Fuse, Fruit Fusion, Disruptor. I can't even read half of these logos. They're so unproud of what they've done. And this, I would argue, is almost a suicidal move. But you could certainly work for a company like Insomniac Games and then know that that company is probably going to have layoffs as soon as the Spider-Man comes out. Like, very consistently, Spider-Man games have not succeeded for many, many years, maybe a couple decades, and I don't think this next one is going to be any different. I think there's probably an inherent flaw with superhero games that all except for maybe the Lego games get a run into. Superman 64 being one of the worst video games ever made. Most Spider-Man games have Spider-Man swinging around New York City, which sounds like a good idea, but it gets kind of boring real quick. And there's usually just a so that's a friendly minion. Darn it. That was the wrong card to pick. Well, I'll just end my turn then, I suppose. Let's see, what are they looking for? They want you to design and develop a new engine technology for current and future games based on prioritized list of what's departing. So they want a whole new engine, and they really can't. I don't think Insomniac Games is in the position to be developing a new engine when they really don't have a successful game. They're doing a licensed game right now. So unless this was an attempt to bring back Ratchet and Clank, which they tried to do Ratchet and Clank just a couple of years ago, and they made a movie, and then they made a game based on the movie, which was totally backwards, and the game based on the movie wasn't that good. So probably not that. Maybe they're coming back with Spyro. I don't know if Spyro really has enough nostalgia or reason to exist. It gets really hard to think of from the other games I saw. It doesn't look like there's really too much that you could bring back or do anything with. So I would much prefer them to try to make a game in Unreal or Unity. Insomniac Games is the perfect style of video game company that I would say should be using a third-party engine like Unreal or Unity. Unreal would work almost certainly. You need a master's degree or equivalent and advanced C++ knowledge. Let's see. Strong grasp of mathematical concepts. You are going to be doing some low-level engine programming. The idea that they're going to get a big payday on the Spider-Man game, like, maybe they've got some kind of contract where they get the money as soon as they put the game out, and there aren't any kind of, like, performance bonuses that really matter. You'd have to advise and mentor other programmers. Complete processor-specific optimization tasks. That seems like a little low level. Like, this seems too ambitious for Insomniac. I don't get it. I do not get it. Let me see if there's something on Wikipedia that would give me even a clue as to why they would want to go down such a dangerous route. Let's see. It was founded 23 years ago. It's founded by Ted Price as Extreme Software and was renamed Insomniac Games a year later. Released titles for the PlayStation 2, 3, Xbox 360, PS4, and Xbox One. It has 275 employees, seems a lot more than, well, 275 plus. And they have a division called Insomniac North Carolina. And Song of the Deep, I believe, was the one that was co-founded or co-published. Yeah. Like, it was published by basically GameStop, and it was heavily pushed and failed. According to the Society for Human Resource Management, it's one of the best places to work in America. Like, Ted Price was determined to work in the video game industry since the release of the Atari 2600. So he's a old school fan. Has been around for a while. But really, that's just his inspirations. Well, there's one free victory. I will take that and be happy. Like, here's a full list of Insomniac games. 1996 Disruptor. Then Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2, Spyro Year of the Dragon, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, Ratchet Deadlocked, Resistance Fall of Man, Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction, Ratchet & Clank Future Quest for Booty, Resistance 2, Ratchet & Clank Crack in Time, Resistance 3. So maybe they're trying to bring back Resistance? Ratchet & Clank All for One, Ratchet & Clank Full Frontal Assault, Audernauts for iOS, Fuse for PlayStation 3. Fuse, I believe, was a first-person shooter. Not anything super special to say about it. Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus, Sunset Overdrive, which was a big failure, I'm pretty sure. Slow Down Bull for Microsoft Windows. That was an odd game.
Is someone injured?
Nothing I remember other than it was an odd game. Fruit Fusion for iOS, Bad Dinos, Digin Dash, Ratchet & Clank Reboot in 2016, Song of the Deep in 2016, Edge of Nowhere for the Oculus Rift, The Unspoken for the Oculus Rift, and Fail Rights for the Oculus Rift. So they've been heavily in the Oculus Rift. And then in 2016. They did nothing in 2017, and Spider-Man's coming out in 2018, and that's, as far as we know, the only thing they have on their plate. So where do you get the money to make a new engine and hire new people? Like, maybe this is a funding ploy. I suppose it's not unheard of to pretend like you're hiring people so that investors will fund more into your company. But, on the other hand, I suppose that it might be the beginning of some new style game, like some new IP, and that would never be a bad thing. If they are going to come out with something totally different, totally new. Let's see. Still playing all these cards. We have a couple more top 10 games of the year list from Giant Bomb. Alex Navarro's top 10 games of the year. I think they're probably going to slowly release people that actually work at Giant Bomb's list over the course. I've been listening to their recordings of Game of the Year stuff, and I'm mostly disappointed with how that's been going. Not particularly with the decisions in specific, just the way they are going about picking Game of the Year seems disagreeable to me. And I'll get into that when I get into my rant later, which I'm teasing this rant because I want to put it at the end. At the very least, I think I'm going to have a come to Jesus moment here and just say, in 2018, I cannot probably resolve to not rant about some things and just ignore some annoying things, but I can resolve to put it near the end of recordings. That way people can check out and not miss anything else, because I'm sure there's people out there that don't want to hear it. There's certainly people that probably don't want to hear me at all, which I guess these videos aren't for you then. His list is not numbered. His first one on the list is Getting Over It with Benay Foddy. I'd argue anybody giving Getting Over It a high ranking is simply because it's fresh in people's minds. I don't think that game is going to be remembered 6 months from now. Next is Destiny 2. Nothing really to say about that. Next is What Remains of Edith Finch. Apparently, What Remains of Edith Finch is technically a sequel to Unfinished Swan, which, okay, that means something, I suppose, and it changes some of the thought patterns of, should I play Unfinished Swan before I do something else? Let's see, I guess I could reduce the attack of that by 1. I guess I do want to play both of those. His next on his list is Taken 7. That seems a little odd, but okay. Next on the list is Cuphead. No, nothing odd about that. Next on the list is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Nothing about that. Since none of these are numbered, I guess those were all honorable mentions, because now he's got them numbered, and it says now onto the proper top 10. Okay. So those were all honorable mentions, so now I have to measure everything versus what was not what he just mentioned but didn't put on a list. So top 10 is Persona 5. Okay, I'll leave that one alone. Top 9 is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Oh, I suppose I should put a secondary rant here, and might as well do it now. Giant Bomb, in particular, really loved Wolfenstein 2 more than I think was an appropriate amount to love the game. I haven't played Wolfenstein 2, so I could be totally wrong about this. That is true for most of my interpretations. I imagine for a lot of people, though, that is the case. You're just going to have to either believe or disbelieve somebody's top 10 list when 9 or 10 of the games on the list are things you haven't played. Average gamers aren't going to have played as many as reviewers are. The thing about Wolfenstein 2 is that it's a dumb action comedy like Wolfenstein the New Order was, and having just played that, I was like, it's alright. It's not an amazingly great first-person shooter. It doesn't have amazingly great levels. The story is kind of crazy, but also kind of predictable. And I imagine not too much changes in the sequel. There are a lot of crazy psycho scenes that stand out in your mind, and you, even in the advertisements, you saw the milkshake scene, and there were some of those in the first game too, but those are kind of just cutscenes. And if you're gonna say the game is good because it has a bunch of cutscenes, then you basically are saying it's not the game part itself isn't a factor in your consideration. So I think it's overhyped. Alex Navarro in particular, I think, overhyped it to the point where they gave it its own category. They made a Wolfenstein best cutscene category just so that they could name some other game name some other games that had cutscenes in them. No, I may be wrong. No, I may go eventually play Wolfenstein 2 and say I'm totally wrong about that, but I don't think so. Next is Super Mario Odyssey, nothing to say there. Assassin's Creed Origins, nothing to say there. Fire Pro Wrestling World, I don't have any interest in that. Wrestling fans are some of the worst style fans in their fanatical love of wrestling. I think they lack the ability to be objective about it. The only wrestling I liked is the one that was on the Xbox 360 with a bunch of anime girls in it. Which, that was what caught my attention, was not the wrestling, it was the anime girls. Pyre, a lot of love too on Pyre. I think, if I'm recalling correctly, Supergiant Games is friends with the Giant Bomb Crew. It's probably true, since the Giant Bomb Crew is pretty much friends with a lot of the video game industry, way too close to people. So they lose objectivity there. From the outside, Pyre looks like it is a boring game. If it has really great story, which they keep saying, fine, but it still looks like the main gameplay loop is boring. Next is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Clearly, people are obsessed with Battlegrounds, at least the video game reviewers. By this time next year, nobody will care about it. Yakuza 0, didn't play the game, but I imagine for fans of the Yakuza series, it will be more of what people love. Let's see. Double minions health. And then attack here. Night in the Woods. A lot of love for Night in the Woods too. Another game that looks boring. If a game really just has story in it, and that story can't be talked about or shown in trailers or descriptions because it would spoil the story, you get left with just the visuals, and the visuals in Night in the Woods is kind of a flat, like almost cartoon for kids style of animation, and I don't think that's what the game is. And then finally, number 1 is Nier Automata, which, okay, good. Like, of the Giant Bomb lists, I would say the Alex Navarro's is probably the most acceptable, except for I would say he probably knocked out some things to put in other things. Like, it feels to me like you should have Cuphead actually in the top 10 and Zelda in the top 10 and maybe even Persona 5 in the top 10. Well, no, Persona 5 is number 10. Like, yeah, he knocked out at least 2 games that should have been in the list, to include Fire Pro Wrestling and some other things.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Right away.
And next we have somebody that I don't believe works at Giant Bomb, although maybe they will by the end of the year, who knows. I wouldn't be surprised if new hires got announced again. They seem to do everything around Christmas, and I don't know why you would want to do that, other than just business reasons. Seriously, did I just succeed twice because people gave up? Nice. Still need to play some priest class guards, so we'll stick with that, but I think I've got the other 2 daily quests done already. Yeah, Jaina, Janina, Janina Gavankar, Gavankar. Someone I've never heard of before. Top 10 list. What is it? I play things, and when I get lucky, I play in them. These are my favorites of the year. Also, thank you to the Giant Bomb and the community for being really kind to me this year. Please note that I made this while emotionally hungover from the Last Jedi premiere. Like, who is this person? It's just a video. 2. I'm seeing a video of a lady in a Star Wars helmet, and she might have been an announcer for the Star Wars game, or a voice actors, face models. Let's see, can I turn on any kind of subtitles? No, because either YouTube has changed the settings, or this is not actually YouTube I'm looking at. Well, it seems like she just sits on her couch and talks for nearly 6 minutes. But none of this was translated into text, so I can't cover that one. Just can't do it, because I'd have to listen to what she was saying, and then that would just be too much of a effort. And sadly, Famitsu.com is only in Japanese.
Happy Feast of Winter Vale.
Let's
Happy Feast of Winter Vale.
play this. And in turn, yes, okay. Let's see if we can update your gamers' top 50 games. We were up to 40 and 31 last time. Have they put out any more articles? Let's see, silence a friendly minion. Destroy something. Let's see. Yeah, all they have is top 30 to 21 for Eurogamer. Eurogamer being pretty crazy here, listing top 50 games. That's every single game in existence that came out this year almost. Well, no, I'm exaggerating a lot there, but you kind of get the idea. So 30 is FIFA 18, then Sundred, then Little Nightmares, then Sonic Mania, then Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, how do you even rate some of these games? 25 is For Honor. The fact that For Honor is at 25 is clearly because For Honor paid everybody to advertise that game. 24 is Puyo Tetris. 23 is Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed Origins probably paid a lot of people to advertise their games also, to be honest. Let's see, 22 is Tacoma, 21 is Gran Turismo Sport. And it's not really reporting very well because I don't want to spend the time to go back and read 50 through 41 and 40 through 31 again. So you'd have to either remember what I said before or do something different. Alright, I guess I should play this because this character may concede. And I'm at the Humble Bundle store. And there's no new things. I haven't bought anything on the Steam sale yet. I'm debating not buying anything at all. I don't think that's the right move, but I'm debating it. There is a certain argument that can be made. A lot of the games I get, I haven't gotten around to playing. But I'm trying to also have a selection of games and not be forced into playing some of the things. And a lot of the games I was getting was for nostalgia's sake anyways. And I just wanted to have them to have them. If I'm paying 99 cents just to own something, it's crazy what I'm saying, but it's also alright with me to own a game, even if I'm not going to play it within a year's time or so of having. Let's silence and draw a card and play this, and then end the turn. So here's the rant, and I don't think it's gonna go on for too long because I think we're gonna wrap up after this. Sorry to Travis. I don't see a real reason to stay online. In fact, I'll probably take a bit of a break in the post show right afterwards, and I'll leave it streaming and not do anything, which I've done that before. Run out and eaten food, gone to the bathroom, just generally walked around to stretch my legs. Anything and everything can happen on the post show. No quality too bad. My rant here is PC Gamer has, and it's not just PC Gamer. It's also Giant Bomb. It's also the entire mainstream video game industry. PC Gamer specifically has given Best Visual Novel of 2017 to Butterfly Soup. Butterfly Soup being from what I'm looking at, a poorly animated visual novel, maybe not written that well. Story about, I believe, a transgender girl or something. There's definitely some Muslims in it because they're wearing hijabs in some of these things. So some very extreme pro-liberal agenda storyline in the form of a visual novel where most visual novels for decades and decades have been the realm of Japanese creators and Asian creators, and sometimes visual novels cover heady topics and even liberal topics, but the comparison, for instance, of the Zero-Escape games where you're doing a murder mystery, or Doki Doki Literature Club might even be an argument, or Danganronpa Volume 3. They're actually listing games, visual novels here, and over what has been the established market for visual novels, what people who play visual novels want. PC Gamer is picking something that I don't think people who play visual novels really care too much about. In the exact same way, there was almost a discussion in Giant Bomb's End of the Year discussions to give Dream Daddy a major Game of the Year award to. And they're only giving out maybe 12, 17 awards in total. And they wanted to give one to Dream Daddy almost 100% solely on the fact that Dream Daddy is guys dating guys. And there is a transgendered male in that too. The exact same liberal special interest things. And my problem here is, not only are they only interested in these games because they're pushing a political agenda that the video game industry should not have, because the video game industry, if it should have any political agenda, it should be just pro video games and anti-censorship. It should allow people to put anything out that they want. But the bigger problem is the Giant Bomb, I know for as long as I've been watching it, and I'm pretty sure for its entire life, has never cared about or covered any visual novels at all. They are unequipped and uninformed to be covering and reviewing visual novels. That is true for most Western video game review sites. Visual novels are just something you don't cover. I don't cover visual novels. They're too much time. So if I was to come out with a Game of the Year and give, say, Butterfly Soup a Game of the Year award over other games that aren't even visual novels, that'd be ridiculous. Let me see if I can catch this guy and spectate him. I'm also noticing on the Asian accounts, by the way, that they seem to be more private. Just they disable spectating by default, which is not helpful when you have a watch and learn. Like, I need to play things that cost 5 or more, and I need to play rogue cards. But I'm hoping this guy will start playing. So, to not get into an incredibly long rant, this is what I need to do in the post-game show, I imagine, is all of this, and I'll probably spend all day trying to do watch and learn. It's not just that I have realized, or I think also the industry has also gotten a lot more political. It's now they're only showing interest in a style of game because it's pushing their political beliefs and their groupthink, and that's not a good way to run your site and be a reporter and be objective. Imagine if only the first-person shooters who had the same political leanings as them were covered. If all of the first-person shooters had no coverage at all. Ooh, this will be actually very easy. I don't want to trade anything, but I should trade something. Like, if I leave everything alone and just play Warlock, that'll save me time. But honestly, I can cheat, so I should do this. Yeah. So if they want to cover visual novels, that's fine. They should. There is another PC game gamer article, the best visual novels on PC. Let's look at that list for comparison. Clannad, the Noonery game, Zero Time Dilemma, which is basically Saw, the video game. But then the third one is Lady Killer in a Bind. That was, I suppose, last year's game of special interest. It's not really a good visual novel. Steins Gate, Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, Simulacra. Is that really even a visual novel? I don't think it is. Long Live the Queen. Valhalla, spelled VA-11HALL-A. That wasn't a good game, and like, I don't think it should be on this list. The Yawg, YAWHG, never even heard of this game. Like, so half of these games don't deserve to be in this list. If you're going to cover visual novels, you have to come from it that the vast people that play visual novels are Japanese, and you have to recognize that what the audience for visual novels, being mostly Japanese, want dictates what the best games are. And if you can't understand or follow that, you probably shouldn't be reviewing visual novels. And Western article people probably shouldn't be, and they shouldn't poke their head in when they want to change the industry. And this comes down to the bigger part of the problem with the groupthink and the liberal agenda in video game reviewers now, is they literally are trying to change the video game industry to the point where it's going to actually hurt the industry, and there will be games that aren't made. There are already games made in Japan that the Japanese people are terrified to bring over to the West and won't bring over to the West because what they hear from reviewers and from the SJWs who harass them on Twitter, and probably from the people that write articles, and less games coming from Japan to the rest of the world is not good for the industry at all. It's less choice, it's less freedom, it's less options. And we shouldn't encourage that. And that's not just for games, too. The people who don't subscribe to the groupthink in the reviewing industry have been kicked out this year, too. People have been pushed out of their jobs. And we had, in previous years, things where, like, Anita Sarkeesian made articles talking about the talking about sexism in video games. And the one nice thing I would say about the Me Too movement is it starts to put a lot of that while the Me Too movement has brought a lot of negativity to light, it has put things in perspective. Like, people being worried about sexism in video games really have a nice and simple life that they can only worry about that when there's some real major harassment and sexism happening to real people, and some real issues that actually need to be taken care of. And I would hope, but I'm not 100% certain that with the Me Too movement, people will stop trying to attack video games, although there was even one article today trying to say video games can be an addiction, and it's like, ugh, it just never ends. YouTube ad says there's over 20 million gaming how-to videos on YouTube. I don't know how you define a game as a gaming how-to video per se. And there's another article that came up. Police kill a Kansas man while responding to an alleged swatting incident. That is terrifying. There's what should be talked about more and more is how the police are not understanding swatting, and they're falling for trickery, which shouldn't be happening at all. There should be no way that somebody could call somebody and get the police to go in full armor, guns blazing into a house, and them not be able to assess the situation and not be able to investigate that without causing harm to anybody. And that's not so much as about video games as it is about the police and their procedures being wrong. Yeah. So I think I've kept that rant pretty concise. I could certainly go on and on. You only have to listen to the YouTube, to the Giant Bomb deliberations, and you will hear at parts the groupthink. You'll hear where people, the whole thing is direct examples of them wanting to convince everybody else to think the same way. When really, when you have a group and you're going to do Game of the Year, it should just be a democracy, and everybody's vote will get counted, but some people's votes won't cause that game to win. Like, everybody's individual opinion should be valid, and it shouldn't be this thought that everybody has to conform their way of thinking. Like, we're not here, you don't want brain control. You just want democracy. And in a lot of ways, SJWs don't want democracy. They're anti-democratic. They want to devalue other people's opinions, and they want brain control. They want everybody to think the way they think, and that's just never going to happen, and that's not how the world should work. I'm about 45 minutes off, so I'm going to leave it streaming in post-show, and I just need some Warlock victories, so like I'll just come in and leave Warlock going. Yeah, this is great content I'll be making, certainly. Actually, I'll switch over to the Japanese account and leave it going because I can just play my secondary account for the Americas account. That's it for the stream again. Sorry, Travis. We didn't make it back. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.